I'm very bummed about this Rob Reiner situation. Obviously, Hollywood legend, what a genius. But this case just took a mind-blowing twist to me. Can we talk about it?
Sure, let's get into it.
I don't think anyone doubts at this moment that Nick Reiner murdered Rob and Michele, murdered them via stabbing. But somehow the defense, from what I'm hearing, you're going to elucidate, is going to claim not guilty to murder. Not guilty. How is that possible?
Well, it's not just a not guilty verdict. It's a not guilty by reason of insanity. There's a difference. Mm-hmm. So when you plead not guilty by insanity, you're basically saying you're guilty of the crime, but you're not guilty because you didn't understand what you were doing. Mm-hmm. So there's something called a wrong or right test. If you don't understand what you're doing is wrong or right, that could be an absolute defense. But it doesn't mean he goes home. It means that he goes to a hospital for a very, very long time.
It's just hard. I'm sure a lot of people out there are kind of boggled. Like, what do you mean? The guy can actually plead not guilty? It's like he's
by
not,
reason of insanity.
Right. So is that an actual different plea than the three options?
Yes.
Guilty, no contest, not guilty.
By reason of insanity, yes.
And this is a fourth one? NG.
Well, there's something else that he could do. He could actually declare a doubt under Penal Code Section 1368. He could say, I don't know what's going on right now. So he's got a twofold mental argument, which is what I would do. Alan Jackson is his lawyer. Let's back this up. Alan Jackson used to represent Karen Reed. He is the hottest lawyer right now in the country. He wins his cases. He won the Karen Reed case, in my opinion, twice. Okay, the first time was a hung jury, but he won in my mind. Then he won it again after they charged her with murder or voluntary manslaughter or whatever the homicide charge was. He won that twice in a row. This is the guy that's prosecuted Phil Spector. Okay, he was a prosecutor back then. He ran for district attorney in Los Angeles County, and I have to disclose that I actually campaigned for him and with him, and spent a lot of money in his campaign trying to get him to be the DA in the office in LA County. Mm-hmm. Great guy, excellent prosecutor, became a better criminal defense attorney now.
Because he knows the prosecution side?
He knows both sides really well.
Right.
He understands the mentality and how it works. And they got this guy. What Alan Jackson's going to do, and I know Alan Jackson very well from a professional standpoint, he's going to look at all the mental defenses and is going to try every single thing. The first thing that I think he might do is say, we don't know whether or not he even understands what's going on. So let's have him analyzed by psychiatrists, number one.
Oh, he understands.
Well,
he knows he murdered mom and dad.
He may not.
But I mean,
he may not, because you know why? I'll tell you.
I find that so hard.
So let me explain to you. So it's hard to understand, but let me explain to you why in my world it's not so hard to understand. First of all, let's back up and identify that everybody, assuming that the media is true, everybody said that Rob Reiner and his wife, Michele, I guess, if that's her name, loved their son. They were doting parents, okay? So they were trying to help him for, 17 drug stints to try to make him get better. Yeah. He's also argued with them before. Yeah. I'm sure he went physical at some point in time. So they knew we had this problem going on.
Yeah.
So
it's clear he's had mental illness for a long time. They've battled not only internal mental illness, but drug addiction, which probably exacerbated the mental illness.
Well, they just discovered that he had schizophrenia. So he was identified, and I'm very familiar with schizophrenia. I have an actual person right now that was in Twin Towers where Nick Reiner was. Mm-hmm. Same exact thing. You used to be in a jacket, a suicide vest, where they put you in that vest when they think that you might be harmful to yourself. Mm-hmm. And he is going to go through that same proceeding as what my client went through. They're going to identify whether he understands what's going on. And the reason why I think that he may not is because my understanding is he induced drugs while he was on medication for schizophrenia, which that cocktail could throw a mind in a spin.
But was that during this murder spree?
Right, and during this murder spree, and the reason I think that the family is on Nick's side is because they hired Alan Jackson. You don't hire a lawyer if you don't want your brother, to be free. They want him to be free, and that
who's they?
The sister. It was the one that found the bodies. The housekeeper originally called the sister. The sister went to the home. The sister found the bodies, called
I can't imagine
911. I know, it's a gruesome sight.
I want to talk about that because I actually want to back up and talk about the facts of the case, the actual facts on the ground. And
right.
I have to admit, I haven't looked much into the details of the murder. I almost haven't wanted to. I haven't wanted to go that deep. And this guy's like a hero to me. But I also I couldn't stand his actual personal views either. So I'm like, what an amazing hero artistically and creatively, but also like, I think I disagreed with this man on many, many things personally. However, what a legend and horrible way to die. So I haven't looked into actually what happened in terms of like the minute to minute fact pattern. We should get into that if you know. But should we just go to the scene?
So essentially what happened was the daughter found him at the scene. The parents at the scene called 911. Nick Reiner took off. He left, which is a problem in my opinion from a standpoint of the defense. I'll tell you why that's a problem. He was found in downtown by USC near some hotel, and he was found on the video shopping for something at a supermarket. The problem is, after these murders,
I saw that video too.
There's actually a jury instruction that says flight or consciousness of guilt. Okay, he left the area, so the prosecutor's going to say you couldn't be that crazy. You knew what you were doing. You were going to the store. You were getting away from the scene. They're going to make an argument that he didn't go as crazy and is milking this schizophrenia thing for all it's worth.
He left, but he didn't O.J. Simpson leave.
Right.
Passports, Bronco, headed to the border.
Right.
He didn't do that.
And that's going to be the argument for the defense, that he didn't go to Mexico.
He didn't try to escape.
He didn't have any cash on him, from my understanding. He didn't have passports on him. That's my understanding. So they could still be an argument that he was still under this delusional psychosis, self-induced psychosis.
Doesn't know what's going on.
Doesn't know what's going on. And if you go downtown, just by my office in Skid Row, you'll see a lot of people on San Julian Street, okay, in downtown. They have schizophrenia. They have mental problems. People talking to themselves, fighting with themselves, yelling at themselves. So if you have schizophrenia and you're on over-the-counter medication and you do self-induced drugs, illegal drugs on top of it, you could go into and I'm not a psychiatrist, but I just happened to speak to my expert on this case, Nick Reiner's case, on Thursday with him. I was at his office in Beverly Hills. You could actually induce a self-induced psychosis where you go into this vortex in your brain where you don't know what's happening and you black out. And as somebody wakes up.
So you're not there. You're like autopilot killing people.
It's an out-of-body experience.
You're not really mentally present to experience the murder you're committing.
Correct. You're physically present. You're mentally checked out. That's why his attorney said he was out of his mind at the time. No, I'm sorry. That's what one of the news reporters said. I think it was TMZ. Harvey Levin said that he had inside sources that said that he was out of his mind. But the bottom line,
I'm going to push back on this a lot.
Yeah.
But you're right. You're doing the legal expert thing, and I'm just kind of doing the common sense thing. It's so hard to buy. But like this takes me back to law school, to some of the most fascinating cases that here we are decades later stuck with me, right? Like the mother who suffered from somnambulism. Literal sleepwalking in your waking hours, okay? So this woman has a dream, a very vivid dream, that she's swatting at bats, flying bats with a machete. And then she wakes up to the tragedy of having murdered her children with a kitchen knife, okay? So she enacted the reality of fighting bats off with a machete, thinking that's what was going on in her mental state. Okay, but then in reality, she was murdering her children with a knife. You could say that woman truly was not present. She mentally was not in the room when the children were being killed because she thought she was battling bats. That's defense by somnambulism. Yes, I committed the murder, but I shouldn't be guilty of that, or there should be some mitigating factors because I mentally was checked out. Can we say that about Nick? I mean, with this cocktail that he took of mental illness drugs and psychiatric drugs, was he similar to that woman who was sleepwalking? She's not even present. She thinks she's doing one thing, but really she's murdering her kids. Can we really give him that much leeway? Or you tell me, where do you land on that? Is he as easy to defend as that mom was?
It comes down to the experts, Tony. The judge is going to want to know from the experts on the prosecution side, which they will have their experts examining Nick Reiner, and the defense side, they're going to want to know what was in his brain. It comes down to the experts.
Like, is he there when this is happening?
If the experts say he went into a self-induced psychosis and had no idea what he was doing, he blacked out and he was completely gone out of his mind, then he's not guilty by reason of insanity. It's just that simple.
Can you be blacked out and fight with somebody to the death? I mean, presume. Sure. And let's talk about the facts. I don't know, how aware are you? Because I'm not, in terms of the minute to minute. I don't even know if anybody knows at this point. I think Nick's the only alive person that was there.
Yeah, I don't know, other than the fact that they had injuries to the neck.
The two parents.
The two parents had injuries to the neck. I don't know if there were puncture wounds. I don't know if there were slash wounds. I don't know if this was a lying in wait where like he came behind his neck while he was sleeping and he did it, or whether it was during a fight. But the result is not what's of my concern. It's how we got to that result. Why is the better question. If you could answer why, like he was crazy, he was a schizophrenic that happened to be on and by the way, they tweaked the medication. So he was in a 30-day stint at some $70,000 a month place where they changed his medication. So he was actually complaining to Rob and his wife and his mom that he wasn't feeling well. This is what the reports say. Okay. So it's very possible that if he self-medicated on top of getting wrong medication, he could have went into a self-induced psychosis. And the test is whether he knew what he was doing was right or wrong. It's called a McNaughton test. So that's what it is.
Okay. But let's step back to what he actually did. There were puncture wounds on the parents. Was there any wounds on
I don't know if there were puncture wounds. I don't know if there were
some kind of wounds on the parents.
On the neck, right.
Neck wounds that were mortal. Do we know if it's multiple stab wounds or a single stab?
I don't know.
We don't know. Are there marks on him? I
don't know the answer to that.
Of a struggle? I'm just curious.
The Los Angeles Police Department is keeping everything very close to the vest because they don't want to taint the evidence. They don't want to taint the jury. So the information is very little. What we know right now, the Reiners are dead. Nick got caught downtown. They geo-tracked him. They used geo-tracking to track his phone.
Was he in a 7-Eleven or something like that?
I don't remember. Near downtown Exposition Plaza.
Well, I saw a video of him at a convenience store, and we don't know if there was a struggle, but it didn't look like he was injured. I mean, there's a very clear video of him with a bloody shirt, kind of walking around.
I didn't see that.
Yeah. He's just casually looking around a convenience store.
That could actually help, by the way.
Yeah.
His defense, because think about this. After killing him, what does he do? He's walking around with the same bloody shirt, just walking in a convenience store, all normal. He's in a dissociative state of mentality.
Right.
He's dissociated himself from what's happened.
You're right. That's a little different.
I want you to watch this. There's actually dissociative. That's actually a mental prognosis where you could dissociate yourself. So this is how it works. I'll tell you how it works with my schizophrenic clients. In fact, I have one right now, allegedly shot somebody in the back. Okay. And when I ask him, I said, you shot them in the back. You're like, I don't know what you're talking about. He doesn't remember. He doesn't know. Okay. The psychiatrists have told me my client went into a dissociative state where he just distanced himself with his mind, blocked it out, and he really doesn't know what's going on. And we had a 1368 declaring a doubt hearing for him too. And I might use it not guilty by insanity because he also has psychological issues that may rise to that level. But Tony, it's very hard. The difference is this.
Should be.
In the Reiner case, I think he has a good chance. And I'll tell you why. If the sister testifies and the family testifies that Rob and his mom would never want him, number one, to be prosecuted, number two, never want a death penalty, number three, loved him to death and were helping him, then this could explain that this is a loving family. Why would a son kill his parents who he loved so much? There's a disconnect.
It didn't seem like he loved them that much.
Well, says who?
Just from a little bit of the factual historical record I've looked at, there were a lot of arguments. There was a lot of disagreement on what kind of rehab would work and not
based
work.
on him, Nick, being on drugs. That doesn't mean he doesn't love them.
There was some vitriol against his dad and against his parents. It seemed like a lot of family dynamic where there was loud arguments. They let him live in the guest house. He violently destroyed every article in the guest house. He punched the TV. He broke every lamp. He broke the table. He destroyed the place. Yeah. It doesn't seem like there was a lot of love.
So let me explain to you what's happening with that. As a professional, I will tell you that over time period of using drugs, especially at a young age, you can't fry your brain. Remember the commercials? This is your brain on drugs with eggs, and they dropped it. So the brain rotting is called settled insanity. And I asked my psychiatrist, all right, that I use, a well-renowned psychiatrist, I said, could your brain actually rot? And he said, it's called settled insanity. People could Google it on our show. Settled insanity is when you use drugs so much that there is a decompensation of your brain. Just like alcohol could give you wet brain and you could kill cells with alcohol. The same thing could happen with prolonged use and everyday use of methamphetamine, cocaine. So that kid, Nick, started to have brain rot, according to my psychiatrist. His brain started to change. It changes your personality. You become different. You become less emotional, less empathetic, less sympathetic. Your son changes before your eyes. You don't recognize who that person is. But that doesn't mean there's intent that he wanted to kill his parents just because he didn't feel love anymore.
Okay. But so it's one thing to have brain
malice.
rot. It's one thing to have brain rot because
Right.
of excessive drug use
Right.
to where a complicated math problem is hard to do, or you watch a movie and you're like, wow, I don't really get what just happened. That was deep. I get that level of brain rot from excessive drug use. And we know people that have used a lot of drugs or have even have had mild mental illness sadly evoked through the drug use. We know marijuana can do that, sadly. So even the simplest drugs, if they're taken with the wrong brain, and it's just a roll of the dice.
That's right.
That wrong genetic component in that brain hits even weed. Suddenly you see this like onset of schizophrenia around age 21, 22 with males, very, very high risk.
You can't use marijuana and be schizophrenic. It triggers it.
You can. You get triggered.
Right.
So there is that, and I've known people who have been schizophrenic. Now I haven't had like that much deep, maybe like long-term exposure to them, but it seems like they still. Okay, so let's go back to if you have a lot of brain rot due to drug use, I can totally buy that. Complicated decisions become difficult, or that maybe you don't have a great assessment of the landscape. But to say you have disassociation to the point where you're killing people,
No, that's not what I'm saying.
But you don't know that you're killing them.
That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that his behavior could be explained through brain rot, not the murder itself.
So we're not talking about the murder yet.
No, I'm just
his
talking
behavior.
about his behavior.
Okay.
Over years.
Odd behavior.
Very normal. If you're using drugs, your personality is going to change. In fact, sorry to bring this back to me again, I have a client that killed somebody in Florida, in Jacksonville, and the father told me that I don't recognize my son anymore because of his drug use. He's become a different person.
What kind of drugs?
Methamphetamine. Hard use of methamphetamine. So it does change it changes your personality. Now, to Nick Reiner's defense, it's the schizophrenia hit him with the medication that was given to him in a 30-day stint that he was doing at some $70,000 a month place that his dad sent him to. They gave him some drugs and it didn't work well with him. He was complaining about it to his parents. The night before, apparently, he was arguing at Conan O'Brien's house about celebrities, walking up to different celebrities saying to Bill Hader, hey, who are you? He's like, Bill, what's your last name? Hader. It's like, are you famous? And so his medication was off. He was arguing, in my opinion, and I'm just speculating as a lawyer, seems to me like his behavior became worse based on the medication. He was decomposing more. So it's completely possible that the day after when Rob Reiner and his wife got killed, he was just in that manic state of decompensation and breakdown. And if you have a fight with a kid like that, it's very possible that kid could go out of control. If you Google Nick Reiner, he's actually said, me being on drugs, I'm an animal. Sure. Like you said, I punched walls, punched TVs.
Yes.
So is it so out of the realm to think that he probably stabbed them because he went crazy, because he was on drugs?
Right.
And because he was also on over-the-counter medication combined with schizophrenia.
Right. But it's
talk about a cocktail of madness.
And even if he's going to use, and we know he's going to use this defense, which is not guilty by way of insanity, right?
He has no, he will absolutely use that.
And so that sort of brings us to this moment of, even if I want to concede your point, which is that he was on heavy cocktail of psychiatric drugs mixed with probably street drugs, right?
Self-medication
Let's
drugs.
give him all the benefits of the doubt, all of it. His brain is effed.
Right.
But then we have this question of, is he still aware moment to moment of what he's doing and if it's right or wrong? Like, hey, even if you're on a cocktail of psychiatric stuff, are you aware that you're stabbing your father and that's a wrong thing to do? Like, so it's a question we have to determine.
Question.
And then also, is it really excusable that you load up on a bunch of chemicals which then drive you insane and then you go and kill someone? Like, if I were to right now, and I know you're going to answer this, you're going to
and I got a great answer.
You're going to say, Tony, that's not actually analogous to what we're talking about.
No, the second one I got an answer for.
Right, it's not it. But let's put it out there for people. Let's use me. I'm seemingly a normal guy, but if I were to go into the next room right now and smoke a bunch of meth and inject a bunch of heroin and lose my mind, and God forbid come in here and start strangling you, and then people come in and go, what happened? There's only one podcast host left. It's clear, surely we can't excuse my behavior and say, oh, shucks. If he took the needle and he smoked the pipe, otherwise RJ would still be with us. Tony shouldn't have done that, but it wasn't really Tony. Well, a common sense jury would say, hey, man, you shouldn't have done that then. You shouldn't have done that. You shouldn't have taken the needle and smoked the pipe, which then made you crazy, and then you killed your partner, right? So we wouldn't excuse me, right?
What you just described right now is self-medication.
Right.
And
different
in our country, and maybe because I'm a criminal defense attorney, and maybe people on the podcast will think I'm very liberal when it comes to this. I think we have a great misunderstanding about mental health in this country.
Let's talk about it.
We have the most mental health. We have the biggest mental health hospital in the country in California, here in Los Angeles.
The state.
The entire. Yeah.
Sadly, we have 0 hospitals left.
And the reason is because we are not addressing the principal problem. And you said something interesting. Most people must say, well, he did the drugs. He induced it himself so that he shouldn't get the benefit of any kind of defense.
He made the decisions that led to that.
But he is self-medicating. Once you get addicted, you need to self-medicate because you're sick. It's a disease.
Okay, so if I do it and then I end up committing a crime in the moment, that's different because I'm not on long-term self-medicating.
Right, that's different. Okay. We're not saying that short-term. I can't just do blow right now, shooting your head and blaming on that.
Right.
But if I'm on methamphetamine, and I watch this, I'm going to go to the jury with this. Just follow me. If I'm on methamphetamine since 12 and I've been smoking and I burnt my brain out, and sometime during the course of an argument with my parents, if I kill them, I may have an argument to the jury, which the jury will decide whether or not that's BS or not.
Sure.
Whether I have brain rot or what they call in law settled insanity. In other words, my brain is so damaged, I didn't know what I was doing. But you're right. The jury might not care. The jury might say, I don't care. I don't care about your expert. I don't care about your stupid lawyer, RJ Manuelian. I'm not buying it. That's still a risk, but that's the only thing that you have in that situation.
Great response. And for people at home, help them understand even better. What's the difference between that person who has settled insanity of some kind, drug-induced, and Tony going in the other room, doing it, and then shooting somebody? What's the difference?
The difference is that it's not a prolonged use. And settled insanity discusses prolonged use. So in your argument, you just did drugs for the first time. That would be like you saying, well, I drank alcohol and I just ran somebody over, so I'm going to blame the alcohol for that. That's not my fault. Now, let's add something to that.
Don't say ran someone over because that changes it because then it's vehicular.
Vehicular manslaughter, right.
Yeah.
Same thing. But so you can't use as a defense of vehicular manslaughter. However, if you're an alcoholic for many, many years and you kill somebody, it's not a defense, but it's a mitigating factor because you've had this sickness all your life.
So it's sort of settled over time.
It mitigates it.
Right.
So mitigating means it helps explain. It's saying I'm liable, just the way Nick is going to say I'm liable, but let me explain to you why. Okay. I'm crazy. That's why. And because I'm crazy, you need to send me to the hospital instead of sending me to jail. That's what he wants. His lawyers want him to go to hospital.
Is there such a hospital anymore?
Yeah, a Tuscadero. A Tuscadero is a hospital you go to. And by the way, you could come out. When I was an intern here in 1999 in Los Angeles, I represented somebody that shot a prostitute in the back of the head. That guy got out 20 years later. We got him out. He's living right now. He's out there living. And he was charged with murder. You know how? He had schizophrenia.
Well, he served his time, 20 years.
Well, no, he went to the hospital. He didn't serve time. He didn't serve 1 day in jail. Not 1 day. Killed somebody. How? We got him in the hospital, and he went to what's called a CONREP. CONREP is a program where basically if you're restored, if your insanity is restored, you have a hearing on it in front of judges, and the judge says, oh, okay, Tony, looks like you're normal. Looks like that person that killed that person 20 years ago is not you anymore.
You're a different person.
We're a different person. We verified it. You could go home.
So we don't want to charge you for that other person.
That's right,
crime.
Because you were crazy at the time. Right. And now your brain is back to normal. We
got it.
Out.
So back to Nick, the argument you're seeing that Alan Jackson's probably going to bring is Alan Jackson?
Yes.
Is that his insanity, drug-induced or genetic?
Both. Drug-induced, self-induced, combined with over-the-counter, and his schizophrenia combined. That cocktail.
And was the key word being settled. So it was prolonged.
Combined with settled. No. The settled insanity is not what I'm talking about. Okay. I don't think they're going to use that. They don't need to use that. Settled insanity is when you're saying, when you have nothing else. So if he didn't have schizophrenia, I would use settled insanity.
Got it.
So I would say if he didn't have schizophrenia, he's been using drugs all his life. So this is what caused him. But he's got something better than settled insanity. He's got settled insanity, which is small, and he's got schizophrenia combined with drug use that they gave him, combined with drug use that he gave to himself because he's self-medicating.
Right. And the thing about schizophrenia, is he diagnosed schizophrenic?
According to the news outlets, I'm just assuming that to be true.
Because that seems like that's a strong factor in his culpability. And
we need the drugs. He could just kill him on schizophrenia. That might be enough.
Because if he's got the schizophrenia diagnosis, that really helps the defense. So
Absolutely.
He's going to say, not only do I have that, which makes me just completely go insane and do things I don't want to do.
Right.
Like you could start getting into, I heard voices tell me kill him, and that kind of stuff, where you're like, I was just following the voices. On top of that, the cocktail we talked about, which is the psychiatric drugs, that they just recently changed.
They changed on him that he wasn't working well with him, combined with self-medication.
Combined with actual street drugs, can we say?
Possibly, yeah.
What was the street drugs? Do we know?
I think he used heroin at the time.
Just partying like a Hollywood kid, basically?
I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm not sure. He probably did everything.
So that's a trifecta, you said. That's 3 things.
Yeah.
You don't even have to go into prolonged, settled insanity of any kind. It's like, hey, in the moment, the excessive use, the brain chemistry as is, the diagnosis, street drugs, psychiatric drugs, and he's dissociated.
Right.
He doesn't know what he's doing.
That's my theory. Again, whoever's listening to this podcast, please don't write on our blog or on our website, these guys don't know what they're talking about.
I mean, write whatever you want. Everybody does anyway. Everybody does.
We're going into this fluidly. This is what we know right now. This based on what we know. Right. Yeah, that's what I think.
I remember from studying criminal law that you got mens rea and you got actus reus, right? So you've got
mens rea is the guilty mind.
The mens rea is what is going on in your head while you're doing this. Yeah. And then the physical part, the actus reus, is like, what did you do? I took the knife, I stabbed.
Right.
So no one's arguing the actus reus here at the moment. Right?
Right.
No one's saying he didn't do it. He wasn't.
Or we're just arguing the mens rea.
The mens rea.
Does he have the guilty mind? It's almost
guilty mind.
It's almost like if if they look at inside his mind and they determine that he couldn't formulate malice. Do you know what I mean by malice?
Yeah, you have to actually consciously think, I hate my father and I want him to die and I'm going to use this knife to kill him.
Even if it's momentarily thought about, even if it's split second, that's malice, right?
Yeah. Well, look, couldn't you? Here's a crazy idea.
Yeah.
What if you're so far gone that you're not even killing out of malice, you're killing out of love? Just follow me on this hypothetical. You're like,
well, that's insanity.
I want my father to go to heaven.
That's insanity.
I'm going to stab him and send him to heaven. No malice. No malice.
That's insanity. By the way, that's what the Menendez brothers said about their mom. I'd rather kill the mom to be with the dad. It's not worth it for the mom to live. Jeez. But that's malice. You can't do that.
That's not malice. You're doing that out of love.
So what you describe is out of love is something insane. That the psychiatrist needs to explain that he really believed that. Right. And that's insanity.
That's insane.
But yeah, so people listening to this, it's not your Cedars-Sinai hospital where you get beautiful TV and you get yard
oak
and you get
furniture.
You get oak furniture and you get
a tray of food. You do get the tray of pills, probably.
It's basically like a jail where you have bars on the window. You can still see outside. And you do have a little bit of a yard. It's a little better than prison, I'm going to say.
One flew over the cuckoo's nest, essentially?
It's better than prison. I'll tell you that. It's much better than prison. That's where you want to go if, God forbid, anybody kills somebody in your family. Hospital's always better than jail.
Yeah.
The bad thing about the hospital, though, is you could go crazy from being with crazy people.
Yeah.
Because people are just talking to each other and yelling. And
they're medicating you.
And they're medicating you. Yeah. So it's different type of hell. But going back to the murder of his parents, here's what's interesting. Is he going to get the death penalty? I don't think so.
No.
You know why? Because a lot of people are saying, well, he deserves it. He killed his parents. Here's the problem. They're going to ask the family, what do you want to do with the sisters? How do you feel about it? They already got Alan Jackson. They're not going to want to kill the kid. They're going to say, this is my brother. He's sick in the head. This is what Rob Reiner, my dad, would have wanted. They're going to tell Nathan Hochman, the DA, my dad would have never went for death penalty. He was a super liberal, left-wing Democrat, as you all know.
Oh, yeah. He's Meathead from Archie Bunker.
Right. He really is Meathead in real life. Yeah. So he would never want that death penalty. I don't think they're going to charge him, and I think that's why it's a difficult case to charge this guy with the death penalty. But they will charge him with 25 to life without the possibility of parole. And Alan Jackson's going to try to show that, yes, he did it, but he didn't know what was going on. He didn't have the mens rea, as you said. He didn't have malice, as you said. And he was out of his mind, and for that reason is insane. Temporary insanity.
Which is making sense. And the more I talk to you, the more I guess I can see that notion of him not having the mental state to consciously know what he's doing. Like, I didn't know I was killing him. I literally thought I was in a movie, or I thought I was in a dream state,
Right.
or like I blacked out. I don't even remember what happened last night.
You know what would make Nick guilty? Let's change a factual scenario. I'm going to make Nick guilty. So after the murders, he gets rid of the blood.
Right.
He wipes the floors down.
Right.
He has nothing on him. He's going to Mexico. He has cash in his hand.
OJ.
It's the flight consciousness of guilt argument.
Right. So you're saying, hey, you just suddenly snapped back into reality
Right.
and realized you need to escape, get out of town?
That's right.
No, we think you were in reality the whole time.
Yeah. So it's good, in my opinion, that he has the blood-stained shirt from his parents and is walking around nonchalant as though nothing happened, because what does that tell you? That tells a normal jury, this guy's got to be crazy.
Right. Yes. It does seem a little crazy when he's sort of aloof walking around the convenience store with what looks to me like bloodstains on
Right.
his shirt. You're like, what, bro?
And the reason why he has a suicide vest, people are like, well, does he want to kill himself? He probably wants to kill himself now that he found out he killed his parents. Can you imagine if I told you, hey, by the way, Tony, you killed your mom and dad last night? And you look at me and say, there's no way. There's no effing way, RJ. What are you talking about? Tony, you killed your parents. Here's the photos. Here's everything. You're going to be on suicide watch tonight because you're going to be going through deep emotional hell until you figure out why this happened. How did this happen? So it has nothing to do with him admitting that he did it. So people are like, well, he's in a suicide vest. He knows what he did was wrong. That's why he wants to kill himself. That's not necessarily true. It means that he found out that he killed his parents and maybe he has deep remorse and they're in fear that he may want to kill himself because of that. Does that make sense?
It does.
There's a distinction with a difference.
That makes sense. But what if you black out afterwards? Like, what if, like, who's to say he didn't know what he was doing in the moment of the murder,
experts.
but then later he blacked out?
The experts.
Because sometimes you have a bad night of drinking and
Yeah.
people are like, yo, you were riding around the street cleaner last night. You're like, what? You don't know because you're drunk and you don't know what's going on, right? But that's just you blacking out. You knew in the moment what was going on. Right?
That's going to be, so as a judge, if I was a judge, I would ask the expert that. I would say, did he know at any point in time what he was doing? In your opinion, did he have an idea? Did he have consciousness? I mean, the expert says, no, he didn't have consciousness at the time. I'd ask him for some more. How do you know he didn't have consciousness? And then they'd explain based on the cocktail, based on his reaction, based on his extreme way that he went against his parents, based on the conversations that I've had with the psychiatrist is going to say with the family and how they were very, very close and he would never act like this and it's out of character.
Because there's levels of consciousness. I mean,
sure.
we don't, science is still figuring out what consciousness is and how it works, but there's levels.
From law, it's very simple. Did he do it knowingly? Did he do it? Did he do it knowingly, and did he understand that it was right or wrong? That's it. So number one, did he do it knowingly? If he says no, okay, let's stop the train. He didn't know it knowingly? Tell me why. Well, because he was on drugs and so forth.
Or the woman thought she was killing bats. Or she was sleepwalking.
Some explanation.
She's in the room. This is, to me, the sleepwalking is a great example because you're present.
Yeah.
You're physically manipulating the world. You know you can grab a knife and hit that.
Yeah.
But you're in a dream state.
And that could happen to Nick and I'm making this up, but the psychiatrist could have said to Nick, you killed your parents. And he could have said, no, I saw somebody in the room killing my parents. I was defending them. I jumped on the burglar. I stabbed him to death. No, Nick, that was your parents. What? No, it was a burglar. I promise you, I saw him there. I was saving my parents. That's how schizophrenia works. You swear you see something that you don't, and you act upon it.
Okay, but then does he have to provide some alternative theory of who he thought he was stabbing? Because that implies you do have consciousness that you're doing something.
No, because it could have been a dinosaur.
But I mean, does he need to say that to the jury then?
No, because he would just need to explain why he did what he did, and then the expert psychiatrist would explain, follow up, and connect why Nick did what he did.
Do you think we would hear from Nick in this case?
If it goes to trial, yes. Most likely you'll hear from him. He'll tell you, he'll humanize himself. I already know what he's going to say. I love my mom. I love my dad. These guys were with me for 17 years. I would never do something like this. Yes, I accept that I did it, but I can't believe I did it. They told me I did it, but that's not what I remember. I remember this or this, and he's going to explain, or he's going to have to explain something. And then a psychiatrist takes a stand and says, yes, Nick really didn't know what was going on. Nick had a self-induced psychosis that disassociated himself which translated means he had an out-of-body experience where his mind took over and he doesn't remember what happened.
Right.
And that's what he needs to explain to the jury.
I could see it.
Can I make a
It's
prediction?
a better case than most of the time when you hear insanity.
Can I make a prediction? I don't know who said this, but if nobody said this, I'm going to say this. I do believe, I think somebody did say this is going to be bigger than O.J. Simpson. This will be much bigger than O.J. Simpson if it goes to trial. Let me tell you why. O.J. didn't have social media at the time. This is blowing up on social media, on TikTok, on Reels, anything that everybody's watching this, because this guy, Rob Reiner, was a big, famous director, very well known. And
he made the best movies of our childhood.
And the son, to do this to a parent, a doting parent, when you have everything in life, is just fascinating. It has everything, all the hallmarks of a good thing to watch on TV, great, riveting television. You have a doting parent, Hollywood, famous. You have a son who had everything going on. And then the ultimate question.
Well, no, he didn't have much going on.
He had a dad that was worth $205 million.
Yeah, but he didn't have much going on. And that's a problem. It's a problem when your dad is one of the most successful writer, directors, actors of all time.
Well, his dad was successful also.
And it's a problem when your grandfather literally almost invented comedy in Hollywood.
Right.
I mean, to a degree. Carl Reiner and Mel Brooks.
Sure.
I mean, come on. So here you are, third generation.
Yeah.
That's some heavy shoes to fill. I think that weighs on you.
Yeah, but my understanding is the other siblings weren't drug addicts. They're fine. Everybody is different, and I don't know what his story is, but he needs to tell the story to the jury. He needs to tell the story that I love my parents. I would never do this to my parents. He needs to turn on those faucets and his emotion and tell them, this has destroyed me. I want to kill myself for what has happened.
I get it.
And then once he does that, and he has everybody crying in a stand about telling him, showing the pictures of Rob Reiner with Nick on his shoulder, and he's looking at, I love my dad, and crying and having those jurors cry, then the jury's going to want to know, well, why the hell did this happen? Then you bring in the psychiatrist and they explain it. And then when you have that human touch, right now I'm getting goosebumps just talking about it.
No, it's going to work.
Then they're going to say, yeah, this makes sense. He killed him. Yes. He went crazy. Yes.
Yeah.
It makes sense.
It actually does and it's going to work. It's going to work. Like I would go with the prediction.
I would be able to sell it. I know Alan Jackson can.
I think he's going to get not guilty by way of insanity. It just makes sense. Because the thing is, like, I'm having a hard time pinpointing another story that makes sense.
That's right. What
level of sober anger would actually drive him to physically murder not only the dad but the mom?
Oh, I'll tell you.
It's hard. It's more of a stretch.
So let's Steel Menace, as you say.
Yeah.
Okay.
Steelman that side. The prosecution.
Let's do it. Let me turn into a big jerky prosecutor.
Hey,
all right.
We need them. We need good ones.
All right. I'm going to be a jerky prosecutor.
Run for one.
I don't buy anything you're saying, RJ and Tony. I don't buy it. This was a spoiled kid that had doting parents, and he only killed him because they wanted him to go back to rehab, and he wasn't having it, and he lost his cool. And that's the end of the story, Tony and RJ.
Yep. Well, they didn't want him. They were forcing him Monday morning to move out of the house. I'm making this up and go to the check into rehab, which you brought up. And he is like, I will not go. You can't.
F you.
F you. I'm not going.
Right.
Who do you think you are?
Right.
My whole life you've been doing this to me.
Right.
I hate you. I hate you. And then it just it escalates from there, and the guy goes ape.
Yeah, that's not.
That is not a defensible murder anymore. That
is
not.
That could be. That could be voluntary manslaughter. So heat of passion. So he would still be homicide. It wouldn't be NGI homicide.
It's not insanity.
No, but hey, listen, I'll take voluntary manslaughter any day.
That's
even a good.
That's like a crime of passion versus cold-blooded.
That's right.
Premeditated murder.
But the mom, how do you kill the mom?
The mom.
The dad, I get. The mom.
The mom is.
He got so upset he killed both of them.
But I don't know what she was saying in the room.
We don't know.
She probably backed up the dad.
But can I tell you, he would not win the mom. I'm going to split the verdict. I'd say not guilty as to the murder of the dad. Guilty as to voluntary manslaughter, and then guilty of murder as to the mom
in the
second degree at minimum. Because there's no reason to kill the mom. Even if you're pissed at the dad, you don't have to go overboard and kill the mom.
Right.
So maybe you got voluntary manslaughter as to the dad, but the mom, the little old mom,
right.
That's a little,
So, but we know they're not going down that route. That helps us better sort of clarify what would it have looked like if there wasn't this mental heavy dissociative theory, right?
Or voluntary manslaughter, settled insanity. Right. You got some things going on.
You got some things.
I mean, look, whenever if you have a puzzle that doesn't make sense, we got a $205 million Hollywood family royalty, and the kid kills his parents. You're gonna scratch your head, huh? something is off. What happened here, right?
But that's
everybody wants to know.
That's a tale as old as time. There's jealousy of the parent. You don't want to step into a great man's shoes.
Okay, but why now? Why would he kill?
I don't know.
Why would he kill? And he went on TV. They did movies together. Apparently, a story about Nick's his addiction. Why now? Why would he all of a sudden kill him now? Something happened. And I saw the videos of him and his dad. They seemed like they really loved each other. They asked Rob Reiner, is this a stain on your legacy? And he just looked at the camera and goes, I love my son. No, I never think about that. I mean, it just seemed like such a doting, loving family. I just have a hard time believing any human would do that to such a loving dad and mom. It just doesn't make sense. Maybe it's my heart. I have a very soft heart, but I think there's a reason why he did this. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying a good reason, but a reason.
No, but it makes sense. The cocktail, the dissociation, the mental illness stacked on top of each other, because it's such a crazy thing to do.
That's right.
That actually adds up.
That's right.
To crazy.
The only way you take it out of crazy is if, like I said, I'm making the facts up. If there was an argument about him going back to rehab and he just was a brat and he said, I'm not going to go back to rehab. Just like you said, screw you, Dad. Mm-hmm. I had this cloud hanging over my shoulder, you and Grandpa Carl and all this. And I had it with you, and the mom comes in and they start fighting, and then he takes a knife and kills him. That's homicide.
Right.
It's not murder. It's voluntary manslaughter. Murder.
Lesser.
So we want to see murder?
Murder is you're lying in wait, you're premeditating.
Yeah, murder's like,
cold-blooded plan.
I'm going to take my knife right now. My dad's watching TV. F that guy. I'm going to go stab him right now. That's murder.
Right. Or even planning it. Like,
that's lying in wait first degree. That's different. They would absolutely bring, against the wishes of the Reiner family, first degree murder charge, special circumstance, death penalty charges if he was lying in wait.
Yeah, it seems like death penalty's not.
No.
I don't think, if you were to poll most people out on the street, I don't think they'd say death
They're never going to get that, so they're never going to charge it. Why charge it? It's an overcharge.
Yeah.
Charge it as second degree. Alan Jackson is going to get the NGI, the not guilty by reason of insanity. He's going to go to a hospital. So everybody wants to know what's going to happen to Nick. He's going to be in hospital for like 10, 20 years.
I mean, his life is ruined. I mean,
not really.
Well, to a degree, his family will always view him as the one who killed mom and dad.
Yes. But you know what?
That's a heavy burden to bear.
It's a burden, but I'm sure they want him back home, and I'm sure they love their brother, and I'm sure they want him to get help. They don't want to lose their brother, right?
You can't have that person back home. You cannot, because to me,
I'm not the one that's saying it's a sister that wants her home.
This is more dangerous. Someone who can kill unpredictably and out of a manic state without logic.
Right.
This is more dangerous than the person who went and stalked and killed a CEO of a healthcare company. Because if you're not a CEO of a healthcare company, you're probably safe. This guy could kill anyone at any moment.
So I said something wrong. I don't mean go home in the sense that he literally goes to, I meant to stay local at a hospital and get help. That's what I meant.
But I mean, I don't want him out on the street.
No.
Like, I don't want to walk by Nick Reiner.
Nobody does.
Going to Target.
Not unless 20 years passes by, at least 20 in my mind, and we have a restoration of sanity hearing, okay? And Conrep, which is one of the people, the outpatient, the program say he's completely fine. And by the way, remember 20 years ago who that was? He hasn't been like that in 15 years. And he presents himself and you have a hearing, then fine, we're okay with that. We have a very forgiving society, by the way, in laws, Tony.
We do.
We have second chance laws.
We
have mental health laws. We have veterans laws. If you're a veteran and you do something where we send you to veterans court. So the beauty about this country and that flag, we want to help you if you're rehabilitatable. That's what it comes down to.
Yeah.
Is Nick rehabilitatable? I don't know.
There's no doubt there isn't a country, I don't think, that has as robust a defense mechanism for the accused as we do. I can't think of one.
Maybe Australia comes close. That's about it.
I mean, in Japan, the conviction rate's like 90%. Or
Federal court is like that too.
99%.
Federal court is like that too.
It's like you're convicted. Is
that state court?
You're accused. You're done.
Interesting.
Here you're accused, and it's like the game begins. It's like, what were you drinking? What were you thinking? What did you have? Anything happen to you as a kid? Do you have any? We're a liberal society when it comes to defending crime.
So what I'm saying, getting back to Nick, it's terrible what happened to his parents. But if his sister was listening and if his sister was trying to get him help, I would console the sister and say, look, the best that you could do for him is put him in a hospital. That's not a bad option for like 10, 20 years until he gets better. And if he never gets better, like you said, he'll never be released.
And I wonder if you're that sister. Would you ever want to be alone in a room with Nick again? I mean, unsupervised?
She probably thinks that he is not mentally unstable when it's not on drugs. I'm positive that she believes that it was self-induced coma, psychosis. Otherwise, why would she spend $2-3 million on Alan Jackson?
But is she spending it? I mean, it's an
The
estate,
Reiner family
right?
is.
I mean, the Reiner, but I mean, Nick probably has money too, doesn't he?
Well, not anymore. He can't access it. So by law, once you murder your parents, you're barred from accessing financial gain. It's the son of Sam laws.
Got it.
So the sister has complete control, and the other brother.
So he forfeits his family
Yes.
fortune
Yes.
by doing this
Yes.
murder?
Yes.
That makes it even more crazy. That actually
Not
helps the theory of insanity.
unless they were fighting about inheritance, and he killed them because of that.
Well, he forfeited it.
He forfeited either way. Yeah. No, I'm saying it's bad for him as far as the defense is concerned. If they're talking,
If you
yeah, he forfeited either way.
caused the death of your parents, I mean, does it have to be
forfeit.
like
Yeah.
malicious murder of some kind? Like you forfeit the inheritance? This is wild.
Yeah, yeah. If you kill somebody for
That makes a
financial,
lot of
if you
sense.
may kill somebody for financial gain, you're not allowed to get the gain. You don't get it.
Got it.
You ever see
No, but I mean, what if he murdered them for other reasons, not for the financial gain?
still no.
Like if the motive was
No.
disconnected from them.
I think you still don't get it.
Interesting.
I think you're barred.
Like if you had a crime of passion, the dad pissed you off and you killed him.
I got to look
you
it up.
lose your
Now-
inheritance.
Now you're pushing.
But I get if your motive is tied to the inheritance. That makes perfect sense.
So I think that they hired Alan Jackson because they want him to be better. I'm sure they don't want him to, like you said, come home because they don't know what he's going to do. But if it was my brother and he killed my parents, I'd still love my brother and I'd want him to get help. I know that sounds strange.
I think, yes, if you could look at your brother and go, oh, that at this moment
Right.
is not my
Right,
brother.
right.
I
That's what
could
I'm
see
saying.
in his eyes.
Yeah.
That's the drugs. That's the chemicals.
that's not
It's
him.
Not
That's
him.
not my brother, yeah.
And then moments later, you see him and you're like, oh, that's you. You're back.
That's right.
You could see it in the eyes.
That's what she's looking for.
Are they there or are they not there?
She's looking for that to have his brother back, the zombie to be gone. Let's call him a zombie. When you're on drugs, you turn into a zombie. She wants a zombie to come out of his body and the brother to come back. That's a tall order. It takes years and years and years to do that.
Okay, well, rest in peace, Rob Reiner.
Both Rob Reiner and the mom.
And
That's a tragic
Michele
way to
Reiner.
go out.
I mean,
Tragedy.
his legacy should have been Archie Bunker, Stand By Me, Few Good Men, give me more, When Harry Met Sally, A Princess Bride. But now, sadly, I fear that the legacy will include this Murder in Brentwood.
They
It's
will.
almost like sits next to OJ in a way.
Yeah.
He didn't want to be part of that.
I know.
He has too rich of a creative legacy for that.
The legacy.
That's a
The
tragedy.
legacy gets tainted.
Yeah, that's a
Fortunately,
real. I
it
think
is.
that's what's killed here. That's the worst thing killed here.
You're right. You're right. It's bad from that perspective, but I
For
don't.
him, somebody who loved filmmaking so deeply, was so immersed in filmmaking in every aspect, from the writing to the directing to the acting. For somebody like that, for his legacy to be smeared by this kind of, let's call it psychosis, that's real sad.
I bet you know what Rob Reiner would say. I don't care. That's my son. I love him. That's what he would say. I don't give a crap about my legacy. I care about my son. Have him get better.
That's a father's love.
Yeah, he loved him a lot. He had a good dad. Very good dad.